What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another week on the Point Spread. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July weekend. Got a much better field this week, Sam, for the Genesis Scottish Open. I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah, man. This is we got the John Deere last week, and that had some excitement. Obviously, JT Poston went wire to wire. Okay, not that much excitement, but we got 14 of the top 15 in the world back this week. It's a stacked field, because this is a co PGA and DP World Tour event for the first time, and you have a absolutely stacked 160 person field here. So I'm excited for that. The only guy missing is Rory, and to be honest, I don't like betting on Rory much, anyways.
Yeah, I agree. So the whole combined tours thing, I think what was it, top 75 from each tour, and then some exemptions and whatnot. Just awesome in general because I'm not like as hardcore as some of the other people who follow the Euro and the PGA, but I follow it enough to know like who's in the top every week and kind of have an understanding of who's trending in the right direction. So just seeing the two tours just combine is awesome. You just, like you said, first time ever, don't get to see it that much. And there's so much talent on the European tour, and we don't get to see all those guys outside of maybe one or two majors that they get into, or the Olympics, say, where they have certain countries. But yeah, just awesome to see this many guys go at it. And it makes me feel like there's just going to be some value when it comes to betting.
Yep. Absolutely. I can't wait to see all the numbers. I mean, there were some guys, obviously you see more guys tumble down the odds board, and you get values. So that's the best part about this.
And I'm also going to look a little bit at like guys who played the Irish Open last week.
Okay.
Not that it's right down the street by any means. It's still 10 hours away or whatever. But the fact that they're already over there makes me a little bit more comfortable, I guess. I'm not going to like that field wasn't very strong at all. So I'm not going to throw too much into that. But just looking at some of the guys who did have success last week, less travel time. And I mean, you're like, when some of these guys come over for the U.S. Open or the PGA Championship, sure, they don't always win. It's usually a Euro guy who is on the PGA Tour, if that's the case. But now it's almost the reverses are flipped, where all the PGA Tour guys are going to these guys' homeland and competing on their soil. So who knows? Some of these Euro guys down the board a little bit could have some real chances at winning this week. So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of names thrown out there. I know there's a lot of popular picks, but looking at the course, Sam, the Renaissance Golf Club, I looked at Hunter's course preview as always on fantasypoints.com. Great piece. He's got 71 or a par 71. Sorry. Very unique. It's 5 par 3s, 9 par 4s, and 4 par 5s. So a little more balanced than your typical par 71. It's going to play just under 7,300 yards. And looking at what guys did well here last year, nothing really stood out to me. Like Minwoo Lee, if he didn't go crazy on Sunday, he didn't do all that much to impress me.
Right. Yeah. And I stayed away from Minwoo. I mean, he's great. He's very long driver off the tee, but he's not a good approach player. And he really kind of just got lucky. Like you said, he went absolutely wild on Sunday. So, yeah. He should not have won that tournament. Thomas Dietrich played a lot better, really deserved to win that tournament, just got unlucky in the playoffs. So, I don't know. I mean, this course setup is so unique and so crazy with all the long holes that it really is going to be such an interesting course look out there.
Yeah, like you said with Dietrich, he led the field in approach last year, 6th in par 4 scoring, 7th in scrambling. Another guy, Justin Thomas, if he did absolutely anything with his irons, it probably would have been over. I had him at 100th in stroke gained approach, and then he led the field off the tee and around the green. But if you're not hitting your greens, it's hard to drop your birdies and so on and so forth. So kind of makes sense from that aspect. But let's get into the betting card.
Yeah.
All right. The graphic that was tweeted out had Scotty Scheffler as the only one you could see for my side at 33-1. that has now been fixed. A little bit of a miscommunication. I would love to bet Scheffler at 33-1, but unfortunately that number is not available. However, I think 14-1, Sam's a pretty good number compared to what we've seen this season. It's not hard to sell Scotty Scheffler after what he's done thus far in 2022. It's a week off after his T13 at the Travelers, which we saw him do last year as well, coming over to the Scottish where he did finish T12. Looking at some of his stats from the Scottish last year, 6th off the tee, 12th in par 4 scoring, where he did a lot of his work, and then 19th in strokes gained putting. He shot 1 over in the first round, so he shot a 72. And then last year, Scotty Scheffler at the Scottish, next 3 rounds he played at 14 under, including a 63, which was the round of the day on Friday, actually tied for the best round of the weekend. So seeing him after that little slip up in the first round go 14 under in the last 3 days, and then to see where he's progressed 12 months later is interesting.
Yeah, and look, with Scotty Scheffler, you just can't be surprised to like ever see him at the top of any leaderboard. So, betting Scotty is like, saying you're basically taking him against the field every single time because he's just so hot right now that he's pretty much a pick that you want to have in your bag every single week. And he hits every single one of the metrics that you want to have here. He's just an elite ball striker and, a very good putter, which is going to be a huge thing here this week.
Yeah, so you got a bunch of guys, not a bunch, but 3. We like to keep it simple here on the point spread, but you got 3 guys that come up before my next one, technically, all of which I really took a hard look at. Like, I'm not going to lie. I think out of the 4 you got there, Cam Young was 1 and Zalatoris was 2 if I had to rank them. I knew how high you were on Cam Young, so I'm going to let you have the floor there, but I like this spot a lot for him. So why don't you start at the top with Zalatoris? And before you get into everything, tell me what you were kind of looking at this week for the Scottish Open in terms of like key stats.
Yeah, so we talked about how unique this course is set up. Yep. And with the 5 par 3s, 3 of them measure over 200 yards. And the other 2 are shorter, but they're all in that 200 to 225 yard range. So I took a look at that, par 3 scoring over 200 yards as one of the key metrics. And 2 of the other big key metrics were, again, owing to the uniqueness of this golf course. 5 of the par 4s measured over 440 to 500 yards long. So I took a look at par 4 efficiency from there. And then all 4 of the par 5s are between 550 and 600 yards as well. So look, you want long guys here. That's what all of these have in common with the course being just under 7,300 yards and, some of the holes being located on the coast. We're going to have guys that can hit through any wind or weather that we see. Speaking on the weather, we're supposed to not have too much. So I know a lot of people are focusing on strokes gained approach, but I do think that strokes gained approach is going to take a back seat here unless the weather turns up different than what we think it is, because the winds are only supposed to be, in that 5 to 10, maybe some with 15 mile per hour ranges. All the big weather is coming tomorrow. So if anything, Thursday is going to be a very interesting scoring day, depending on whether the course is wet or not. But it's not supposed to be that windy. So I took a big look at putting, and these are obviously fescue greens, so they're going to run a little bit slower. And we looked at guys who are a little bit better putting on slower greens, as is a little bit of the style of these links courses. But this is kind of more like a hybrid links course where the greens are a little more undulated, not as flat. But so I looked at that, and on these greens, you want to be able to score. So we've outside of Aaron Rai in 2020, the scores have been up there in the high teens. So we obviously want birdies or better. So we looked at birdie or better conversion rate.
And Sam, with the field as strong as it is, not that this field always drew a pretty big or pretty decent field, but this is the best field the Scottish has ever seen,
Mhm.
making me think with the clear weather, they're going to push 20 to 24 if I had to
Yep.
spitball.
Yep. And so, we're looking at that. Obviously you can fit strokes gained putting as well in there. You guys looking at the better putting guys. And then we want strokes gained off the tee and driving distance. We've seen a lot of the longer hitters finish higher and higher on these leaderboards the last couple of years. And, again, you obviously want the guys who can hit it accurately and avoid this long European fescue rough that they have out there. But the fairways are a little bit wider than normal, and they're not going to come into that much of play. So you're really looking for guys who can hit it long on this long course and have a very short iron in or a wedge. And if you miss the greens, unless the wind comes into play, I can't really see strokes gained around the green being that too heavily in. I mean, those pop bunkers are going to even everybody out. So
Yeah, scrambling was
a little bit
last year. Scrambling meant more than around the green, which is not a huge difference. It's just being able to save yourself one chip, one putt, as opposed to chipping in, putting it X feet close. So Fitzpatrick led the field in scrambling last year.
Yep.
And then Poulter and Palmer, who both finished T4 last year, were inside the top 5 in scrambling. But like Minwoo hit a ton of greens. Scrambling wasn't that great. The one thing that you were saying, the off the tee and driving distance, I'm looking at that as well. I was shocked to see that Minwoo Lee didn't really get aided by his driving distance and off the tee game, because that's what we've seen out of Minwoo Lee this year. Not to say that that's the exact golfer that he was last year, but it's kind of his thing. So seeing that he won an event at a driver-heavy course, you'd think that helped him out. I mean, he was 26th in driving distance last year and 58th off the tee. Other guys did a lot better, so it's still something I'm going to look at, but obviously had to have helped him in some sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But heading into my betting card, starting with Will Zalatoris, I'm going to start just betting him every week he plays in the hope that he eventually wins something. He's just been so close and so heartbroken, numerous top 10 finishes. He's contended in every single major. When is it going to end for him? You have to think if it doesn't end this week, it'll be next week, because I just can't see a scenario where this guy doesn't close out the season with at least one win with how elite he has been playing compared to everyone else. So for me, I mean, he ranks 11th in strokes gained off the tee and 16th in driving distance. He's the best strokes gained approach player on tour. So, not that I said, I know I said it doesn't mean that much, but it kind of negates.
It always means something.
Yeah, it kind of negates him being so bad scrambling and around the green, and he doesn't rank in the top 50. So, that strokes gained approach will be big for him. I mean, we know he's a big driver. Him being that good in strokes gained approach will only help him there. He ranks 21st in birdie or better conversion rate, and he's also 7th in the par 5 efficiency from 550 to 600. But the biggest thing with Zalatoris is just the form he's playing. You can bet on him every single week, knowing that he'll come in and play amazing golf. It's just whether he can finish or not. Yeah. So, I almost like putting a top 5 on him better. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was plus 700. I think I have it at here. I'm not exactly sure. No, I actually have it at plus 310. I'm not sure where I got that from. Must have been looking at someone else. Anyways, I almost like a top 5 or a top 10 on Zalatoris better than I do an outright, but his outright will be good enough for me. 28-1. It's just outside of that top group of guys there, but I think he should be right up there with him.
Yeah, and I mean, the field's strong, I get, but 28-1 sure seems like a good number. It's over on Caesars, I believe.
Yes.
25-1 on Bet Rivers if you want that top 6 each way, kind of what you were talking about. Got to shop around to see where his top 5 numbers at, obviously, before pulling the trigger on that one. Why don't you get into your next one with Tommy Fleetwood, who has absolutely torn this course up?
Yeah, and that's the thing here. He's got that great history on the links courses. He ranks in the top 20 in par 4 efficiency from 450 to 500. He's 8th in par 3 efficiency from 200 plus. He's a very good iron player. Always has been. And he hasn't been able to win over in America yet. So, how ironic would it be if Tommy Fleetwood goes out and wins his first PGA Tour event on the European circuit?
Some
So,
people might put an asterisk on it though.
they might. They might. I would not be one of those people. I've been waiting to see Tommy. I've
Especially
been
if it's
waiting
in
to see
your
Tommy win.
extra
Yeah,
money in your pocket.
absolutely. I've been waiting to see Tommy win on the tour for a few years now. He's had some heartbreaking finishes. I really just want to see him succeed. He's a great sand player as well. He ranks 12th in sand save percentage. Look, he's a great irons player. So we're betting on course history with Tommy Fleetwood as well. He's got some great history at the Renaissance Club, and I do think 50-1 is another gift of a number there.
It is. And a
Mhm.
lot better number than it's offered elsewhere. I believe that 50
Yes.
is over on MGM.
Yep.
Elsewhere, it's like you're lucky to get what 40, 45 seems like. So,
Mhm.
yeah, 50-1 is a standout number. I mean, don't take that elsewhere. Obviously, if you have access to MGM, sorry, Sam. I know you don't.
Every week.
But speaking of good numbers, before I round out my two,
Cam Young,
Cam Young.
my favorite play this week. It seems like it's just shaping up to be his week. And again, this is a guy we've seen have a few top 3 finishes, a few heartbreaks. He was in major contention at the PGA when Justin Thomas won. He played really well that week. Guy has really just shown up. And look, I can't really think of anyone else who's going to come in and steal the Rookie of the Year away from him.
Hey,
Riley and
easy,
Sahith.
easy talking about Rookie of the Year with
your
sore subject.
your guy in the back there. But look, Cam Young, 6,000 on FanDuel. He ranks 2nd in strokes gained off the tee, 8th in driving distance, 9th in birdie average. I could keep going on. He's been a great putter this year. He ranks 6th in putts per round, 5th in birdie or better conversion. And he ranks 7th or 20th or better in all 3 of the efficiencies between the par 3, par 4, and par 5 stats that I looked at. And he's 2nd in opportunities gained, which if you read our guy over at Fantasy Points, Pat James, his research and stat model, put a big emphasis on opportunities gained this week. And Cam Young ranks 2nd in this field in that. So everything is lining up for Cam Young to go out there and have a heck of a week. I knew even before I looked at any of the stats, yesterday that Cam Young would be one of my favorite plays. And just like that, it matched this course just matches up perfectly for his skill set. And I think he's going to just go out there and dominate.
Yeah, everything that you said checks out for me as well. I mean, looking at the past 3 months for Cam Young, comparing him to the field, number 1 in strokes gained off the tee, 3rd in ball striking, top 10 in driving distance, making a lot of birdies. Like, what more can you ask for? Especially at 60-1. I think we're getting that 60-1 based off of his last 2 performances, which if we're going to get that number, I'm fine with it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of guys ahead of him that probably should not be ahead of him.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a little – the only thing that makes me hesitate a little bit is because he hasn't played a whole lot overseas, if at all. So the travel obviously is a big deal. You don't know how guys adjust to that, but at the same time, it's more – you can talk about it more than it probably actually makes sense. It's just something to knock him for, but at the same time, 60-1 – I am still on the fence if I'm betting it or not, just because my next 2 guys here are right in that range. Max Homa, 60-1, currently 19th in the official world golf rank. It's the first time in his career where he's been inside the top 20. His last finish was I don't even remember, but hang on. It was odd. His last one was the T47 at the U.S. Open. which pushed him somehow into the top 20. I think before that he was like 22nd. After his win, he moved like just inside the top 40 because he had fallen off a little bit. But either way, Max Homa is a certified winner. We've seen that. He's made 10 straight cuts. 4 of his last 5 were T23 or better. Had his win at the Wells Fargo in that stretch at T5 just a month ago at the Memorial. Talking about the par 5 range from 550 to 6. Ranks first this season in that. And then the last 3 months, top 10 in ball striking, proximity from 200 plus, approach, and birdie or better percentage. So everything was checking out for Homa. Just like Cam Young, I think a very good number for Max Homa. I don't bet him a whole lot, but at the same time, a number that I was staring at for quite some time and ended up pulling the trigger. Next, Aaron Rai. The number doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'm not just betting this because he won the event in 2020. It's not the case. The 2020 event was almost an outlier, was played in early October due to the whole COVID thing, all the schedules getting tweaked and flip-flopped around. But either way, did get a win at the course. Bogey avoidance, what he kind of does best. It seems like some of the tougher courses, me and you have tailed Aaron Rai for top 20s or whatnot, and these seem to pay off. So even if it does turn into a birdie fest, I'm not all that worried. T35 here last year when that was the case. I like the fact that he was over here last week for the Irish Open where he finished T9. Like I said, not like it's right down the road, but at least he was already over in the UK and didn't have to make the full trip from the US. So whatever that's worth, I added Aaron Rai 66-1. The books put him there for a reason, and I think it's rightfully so. He's shown us a lot over the past couple months, and he's had a great rookie year, a guy who was primarily on the European Tour before the casual golf fan kind of figured out who Aaron Rai was. Still fairly young, I think 27 or 28. So won a couple times on the European Tour. Why not have a hybrid win?
Yep. And, we've made a habit of talking about weird lines before and us wanting to take them just because they seem out of place. We did it with Harold Varner a few weeks ago, if you remember that. Yep. 35-1 when every other book was 60-1. So, I do think Rai is a very interesting case. I mean, I looked at him myself. I have a top 40 on him. And
top 40 number is pretty solid too.
Yeah. I think Rai is a great number at 66-1. Even in this field, and even though when he won, he only was 11 under. I'm not too worried about that. I do think, when he won, the course played different because it was played, I believe, in October. So, obviously that makes a difference. He's obviously comfortable on this course. He has good course history. So, he's just got to go out there and, do his thing and make some birdies along with his great bogey avoidance. So
speaking of the guy you just brought up, your final man on the card, Mr. Yes. Harold Varner III, 80-1.
Yes, and I do actually think this is 90-1. I just have to confirm that.
I'm still seeing 80 on Odds Checker at least.
I got 90 at Bet365. Okay. So that must have popped up there. But in any case, 90-1 on Harold Varner, who can be streaky and go off at any time. I like that. In a field like this where you're gonna have to shoot low, that's one of the things that he does best. So, he ranks 13th in birdie or better conversion percentage, and he's top 30 in par 3 efficiency and par 5 efficiency. And he always does better on those long par 3s. So he's a guy that can really go low. I like him a lot for a first round leader bet, as I tend to do whenever I take Varner in placements or outright. I typically have a first round leader on him as well. Ranked 17th in strokes gained around the green, and he's 10th in 3-putt avoidance. And on these big greens that still have a lot of undulation, I think you're gonna want that. So I'm looking for that. He is plus 8,000 first round leader, and I will definitely be hitting that for a little bit as well. I think that could pay off in a big way and pay for your whole week.
Yeah, Yeah, it could. I'm looking at Varner over the last 3 months too. Second in approach in the
Very
field,
good.
fourth in proximity from 200 plus, which a lot of those par threes you mentioned at the top of the show fall into that little range bucket as well. So his only win this season, only win in the last couple seasons, was not on U.S. soil. So why not do it again, Sam?
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the finishing position bets. A guy who we'll get into it, but my top 40s, your top 20s, and one top 10 thrown in there. I got Lucas Herbert plus 120 for a top 40. Luke List is plus 160. And Sebastian Soderberg is plus 500. Had to throw my long shot in there for the week. I'll get into that. Why don't you kick us off with Sam Burns plus 165 as a top 20? Your
Yeah,
guy,
and
Sam Burns.
this is my guy, and I love betting Sam Burns. He's been a little bit off his game recently. Didn't have a great showing his last couple tournaments, but look, he's rounding into form, as we approach the Open, and he still rates out in the top 10 in this field in approach, recent form, and par 4 efficiency from 450 to 500. And he's one of the better clutch putters on tour. I think that plays a big part. The guy can score in bunches. He's one of the best wedge players. So if his ball striking and his driving off the tee gets him good, which in his wins this year, he's been very, very good off the tee. And when he hasn't, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag for him. So if he gets that going, that's the key to his game. He can unlock a whole lot of things with his iron game. That's one of the best in the world. So a top 20 for a literal top 10 player in the world seems a little bit of a mispriced for me, and I'm going to attack that all day.
So my top one, Lucas Herbert plus 120. Good course history, T4 in back-to-back years. So he's done it at the Birdie Vest. He done it in the fall. A year before that, 2019, T62. Nothing crazy, obviously, but clearly has a feel for this course. And another guy who is coming over from the Irish Open last week, finished T9 alongside Aaron Rai. His elite short game, I think, gives him a major boost on some of these link style courses, and he's proven to do that in his last couple times that he's succeeded here. He's one of the few guys who can finish inside the top 15, losing a decent amount of strokes on approach. Not that I want to rely on that around the green game and putting, but he's second in the field this season, the last 6 months, 3 months, whatever you want to look at. It's top 2 or 3 in just about every time frame. And like I said, 2 of his top 15 finishes in 2022, he did lose strokes on approach. So I like what Lucas Herbert brings to the table. He kind of made a name for himself when he went crazy on the European Tour last year, ended up getting a win in the fall swing. Next on my odds list, Luke List. I was still debating the 125 to 1 outright number on List, just because I feel like his distance should give him a pretty nice advantage here. Was 4th in my model over the past 12 rounds, top 10 in ball striking, driving distance, and off the tee. And then the main thing with List is what he did at the Travelers Championship the last time we seen him was insane. T19 finish, led the field in approach, gaining over 10 strokes, and then crushed the field from tee to green, gaining over 14 strokes. Lost 8 strokes putting in the process.
That's his weak spot.
But if he's hitting his irons like that and he is that good from tee to green, I feel like he'll be able to get something going with the putter. It's not like he's got to drop 20 footers, 25 footers. He's just got to keep his irons hot, keep the driver hot, and go from there. So I rolled with it.
Yeah, I think the problem with the List is literally just what you said. Yeah. He's not a good putter, and that's cost him a ton. It's cost him a ton this year. He's been in many good spots, and he's kind of just choked it away every single time. I know I bet against him in a few, matchups here and there, and have always, whenever I win, it's because he loses strokes with a putter, and that's it kind of reminds me of myself, an awful putter. But I think the list bet is not bad. Bringing me to my next guy, Mito Pereira, our old friend. I think Mito's game rates out really well for this course. He ranks sixth in birdie or better percentage, and he's 18th in par four efficiency from 450 to 500. But with Mito he's the best player in the field and opportunities gained. So, Mito is going to go out there. He's going to stick the ball close, and his putting just needs to be a little on. And he's a little better on faster greens. These slower greens will be a little bit of a challenge for him, but he's a player who's kind of hitting his groove right now. He's still in very good form. He's been contending. Again, he's having a very good summer. He ranks really well in Pat James's model for par 3, par 4, and par 5 scoring on those yardage bunkers that I pointed out before. Ranks in the top 10 in all of them. Ranks first in good drives gained. His game is pretty much a perfect fit for this course. On those buckets. So I think that Mito is going to be a very tough out here, and he rates out just too well to ignore this week. So at plus 320, again, I think this is a little bit of an overreaction to him. He's hasn't really played that much at courses like this. I think his game is going to be really well suited for this week in this field.
I agree. He rated out well for me. Get into your next guy, Matt Kuchar. He was the only guy who was better all around short game than Lucas Herbert, which I really like how Kuchar's able to attack this course.
Yeah, and sometimes I just can't help myself by betting Matt Kuchar, but he's one of the best slow green putters on tour, and he ranks third in Pat's model for slow greens. So I like that a lot with him. He's a guy that's not going to wow you. He's not going to go out there and birdie a ton of holes, but he's a very consistent player. And I think top 20 is well within his range. He's first in strokes gained around the green and scrambling this season. He's a very good, around the green player and putter. It's just, sometimes his driving game will get him into a little bit of trouble. He's obviously not one of the longer guys in the field. He's almost 50 at this point. So Kuchar's game is all going to be on his short game. If his short game is elite and, he's average driving the ball, this top 20 will be a cinch at 4.5 to 1. I really like the number for him. As I said, Kuchar's one of my favorite guys to bet. I have him on nearly every show that we do here. So
gotta stick with your guys.
Yeah, gotta stick with my guys. He's burned me a little bit. He's had a little bit of a tough summer, but I think he's gonna get back to playing some good golf here on the links.
One guy that I can confirm that I have never bet is Sebastian Soderberg. Top 40 is plus 500. I forget the book. I do have it, but 500 was by far the best number offered. Was T46 last week at the Irish Open. Led the field in approach. Don't see that very often. Someone finishing outside the top 40 and leading the field in approach since the beginning of May. Has a pair of top 5 finishes, second at the British Masters and a 5th at the Dutch Open, which was more recent. Played in the U.S. Open, was T53, 1 over for the first 2 rounds, and then kind of fell off the face of the earth, which it's the U.S. Open. We know how difficult it played, and it's not really surprising that a guy that's around 200th in the official world golf ranking couldn't play 4 solid rounds. Obviously not many can do that, but Sebastian Soderberg plus 500 is my long shot, quote unquote, top 40 for the week.
I like that.
Let's get into your last play. Matthew Fitzpatrick, U.S. Winter Open. U.S. Open winner. Jeez, I can't even talk. Top 10 plus 265.
Yeah, I mean, and this is Fitzpatrick again having a great course history here. He has 2 top 15s in the last 2 years, a 10th and a 14th. So, I mean, he played really well last year. And look, this is clearly his best season so far. Coming off the US Open win, he's riding high, he's flying hot. He ranks 8th in strokes gained off the tee this season, 3rd in strokes gained around the green, 1st in strokes gained tee to green. He's just one of the best players on tour. So this is, again, betting on him being very good to recent form. And look, again, he's used to these kind of courses, so we can kind of take that into account for him. I think he's going to be very good. He's one of the better players off the tee as well, and he just has to score it. And he hasn't had really a problem with that. He's kind of a middling player when it comes to birdie conversion percentage. He ranks in the top 60, but he really is good at these par fives, and because he's very precise with his second shot there. So if he gets hot on these par fives, I could easily see him finishing in the top 10. I think this is, again, a course where he's very comfortable. And we've seen for him, course comfortability plays a massive role in his preparation. Yep. So, I'm not sure this is on a won the U.S. Amateur level and then go on to win the U.S. Open, 8-9 years later level of comfortability. But I think, you're good enough there that he should be right in that wheelhouse. So I felt really comfortable. I don't place top 10 bets that often because they're usually finicky odds, and getting 3-1 is not my favorite thing to do on a placement. But I think this is a very good number for him.
Agree, and you can't deny the form that he's in either. So that will do it this week on the Point Spread. Thank you for joining. Hopefully we get a winner this week at the first ever hybrid event between the DP World Tour and PGA Tour. Sam, thanks again as always, and good luck.
Yep, you as well, my friend.